So Koen is with us on video because he was called into a meeting. And so what we're gonna do is I'm gonna start each discussion with a small clip of Koen Vermeulen, who is the group CIO of Orange. And so I went, finally we could do face-to-face interviews again. I went to Paris and we had a very long and lovely interview with them. So let me first give his view on the drivers for change. So what are the drivers for change at Orange today? So the drivers for change and for transformation are customers demanding more for the same, is faster and faster all the time, 4G, 5G, 6G coming up. And growth is an important thing to basically being able to finance the big investments. What other drivers are there still? Is competition a big one?
That's looking from an, I would say, telco specific standpoint.
Yeah.
I think in the world of today, it's going much broader. I gave the example of telcos going to other sectors. The opposite is happening too. So I think thanks or due to, depending on how you look at it, to the emergence of technologies and acceleration of different technologies, we see that a lot of industries don't stay within their niche. If you see Toyota designing cities without cars, and if you see Google developing cars, I bet that 15 years ago or 20 years ago, BMW or Mercedes wasn't benchmarking against a search engine, wasn't benchmarking against Google. They're probably the biggest threat or opportunity, not only for them, but for the whole mobility industry. So with the self-driving car. So I think the drive for change and the drive for transformation obviously comes from the sector itself, which is highly competitive, but also from abroad. And so it's a worldwide movement that is ongoing that requires companies to fundamentally change and to fundamentally rethink and re-evolve towards new business models and new activities.
Okay, so that was the vision of Koen on drivers of change. Honoré, I would like to first give the word in the panel here to you. So tell us a little bit the Red Hat vision on open innovation and then what companies need to go through in addressing the drivers for change today.
Thank you, Hendrik. First, I'd like to, on behalf of Red Hat and Intel, extend a warm welcome to Angela, Charles, Glo, and Koen for joining us today. And for all of you out there who have joined to participate in our Open Innovation Conference. And in keeping with that theme of open innovation, I'm looking forward to this very open and collaborative discussion. At Red Hat, we're open by default. You know, the company was basically founded on the conviction that the best way to drive innovation and to deliver value to our customers and to our partners with regards to software development was to contribute to and be an advocate for the open source community. And our approach to that open source innovation in the open source community is through the sponsorship and the participation and contribution to what we call communities of practice. These communities are key areas of technology development and innovation. We sponsor those, we fund those, we contribute to those. These key areas of technology development can range from artificial intelligence and machine learning, as well as application development, technologies like containers. Security is one that's really very important today, and many, many more. So it's basically predicated, open innovation is predicated on starting with the open source community, fostering, contributing, and supporting that community, taking all of the work of that community and then bringing it together in a way that makes it consumable for the market and for our customers in a way that drives value, not just technology value, but also financial value. Hand in hand with open innovation is open culture, open community, and open collaboration. Culture is an experience that's unique to the individual. Open culture is designed to ensure that every individual has an inclusive and positive experience at Red Hat. We foster an environment that inspires people to do their very best work, be their very best selves, and are enabled to contribute in the most innovative of ways across a diverse set of thinking and ideas and expertise and contributions. And then lastly is the open community and open collaboration, which really is about people, process, and tools. It's all of the infrastructure and operating model that's required to ensure that open innovation and this open culture are best realized through a community collaboration and process.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for that overview and general introduction, Honoré. Charles, can I first invite you to tell us a little bit, what are the drivers for change today in Middle East and Africa and with your company? What are the things that forces you to innovate and transform the company over and over again?
Yeah, thanks, Hendrik. I mean, first of all, my number one principle, I think, where we are today, based on the function that I do within the business, I always say that the future is all about software and the ability to create new business models. I think that for me is fundamental, because again, software by its very nature is borderless, and if it's borderless and it's open, then you can be able to bring the ecosystem and make it bigger. So that's the principle of how I run my organization and the message I propagate within the business. I mean, as MNOs today, we're faced with, I think Luke mentioned it earlier on, in terms of niche players coming into our space and also us moving into their space. So our position as a business, we're saying we want to be the biggest platform player in the continent. We are going into fintech as a platform. We are now building an instant messaging platform. We say we want to build the super app for Africa. We are building an API marketplace called CIONET. So we want to be the biggest aggregator of APIs in the African continent, inviting third-party players across the globe to play with us. Then we're also, the focus on enterprise and the focus on what we refer to as network as a service. Now, of course, underlying all of that is a foundation layer of core connectivity, which is a normal mobile voice and data business. But maybe focusing on the three pillars, the fintech, the instant messaging, and the CIONET, all these three key platforms, their fundamental existence is based on collaboration. You can never build a fintech business without innovation. You can't build it without third-party integrators coming into our platform, creating new products with you. The same thing as a super app. We are at the fulcrum of it. We are at the center of it, but there are many third-party platforms that are coming, joining us, providing music services, micro apps that are coming into the platform. All of that, again, is driven through the culture of open innovation, because we cannot scale digital on your own. I think digital capabilities largely is scaled through multiple players, embedding a capability on top of your platform, giving and enriching it, and then be able to give a scale. So we're doing that. If you think about our API marketplace that we're building, we believe it's the first of its kind in the continent. I mean, we're marking ourselves against the likes of Axiata, Appigate, and all of that. So again, this is an aggregation of multiple players across the markets in which we operate. So I bring third-party developers, so I bring SMEs, so I bring enterprise together. So it's a separate established business, separate brand from the core MTN business, so that they can do business with any other entity, whether it's going to be in financial services, logistics, manufacturing. So all of these three key platforms are really anchored on the culture of open innovation. So we're bringing more suppliers outside. We're engaging with third parties much more than what we used to do in our traditional core business, to enable us to be able to scale the business. We believe, again, that pushing the platform play in the African context is going to rely on the engagement with the broader ecosystem to help us to be able to build scale.
So what you're saying is platform play and building a very strong ecosystem is a must do for MTN. And this is where you must make difference, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, we cannot stay as a traditional MNO. We believe that for us to scale as an MNO, and that's happening across many MNOs, in fact, globally, that we need to diversify the revenue mix. We need to find new services. But the relevance of the platforms in the African context is that there is so much that yet can be done. Whereas in the fintech space, if you look at our growth and scale in fintech globally, I mean, we stand far above the rest because there's a lot of services that we can deliver for people in terms of payment that still have to be maybe moved into electronic. Instant messaging, the rate of penetration of messages capabilities is still very low in the context, also in the context of, access to data, internet, penetration of mobile devices in terms of new data subscribers, that's still very much nascent. So the continent itself is very ripe for platform-based collaboration and innovation.
Okay. Angela, what's the story at BT at the moment? What are the threats, the drivers of change? What's BT going through, and how does it react to it, and how does open innovation fit into that story?
I mean, Hendrik, I think when I think about sort of drivers for change, I always start with some of the kind of bigger themes around the growing importance of comms and digital infrastructure and the way that we live our lives. And we've got so much, data and insights now to help us to make decisions and really truly transform the way that we live. And, I think about some of the innovations that we're talking about around sort of smart cities and how car parking spaces and how being able to, I guess, make things work better and be a lot more productive and have a lot more, a lot less waste. So those are the sorts of kind of really high level themes. And I think technology is going to have such a huge impact on society, on the way that we live our lives. And it's kind of the so what of what we're doing. Obviously from a business point of view, we want to have much better digital experiences for our customers. We want to make life easier for our customers and make it easier for them to do work with us. We need to grow our business and continue to grow through innovations. And also, obviously, some of the transformation that we're doing is around reducing our operating costs and removing some of the complexity. It's no surprise that telcos are very complex, a lot of legacy systems in place, and it's really about removing that level of complexity, simplifying the way that we work, simplifying our business so that we can create those solutions for our customers for the future. And we're spending time building new architecture and solutions in order to simplify. We're migrating away from our legacy platforms and closing those down, and obviously looking at how we collaborate across the business and how we deliver different ways of working in order for us to become a lot closer from a business point of view, but also closer to our customers.
Okay. Now, Glo, maybe over to you. What do you see? I mean, you work with a lot of telco companies, service providers around the globe. What do you see with your clients and your friends as important drivers for change?
Yeah, it's great listening to everybody here because it reinforces the mission that Matrixx is on right now. And I would just say that you can't predict everything. So as Koen said, who knew that Google would be, the one who's predicting where OEMs are going to be compared against? Nobody could predict that. So you have to be ready for everything, and you can't predict really much of what's going to happen. So agility to me is the name of the game. We have to provide commercial, customer, operational agility to be able to go after, this next set of trends, which, 5G is not just the next, G. This is a significant change for everybody who's been speaking here. It's going to completely change how we do business. If all we're looking for is just a faster phone, then I think we've missed a big opportunity. So what you're hearing is all these different use cases. You're hearing enterprise, demanding more from our SP partners here, and also private network is starting to come into fray as well. So who is going to be the buyer of spectrum and coming up with new business models? How do we support that? And then it has to be an open system. So one suite does not answer everything anymore. You have to really go now to a best of breed, API, open innovation, open ecosystem type of environment now. So in order to support that, you have to do exactly what everybody has been saying so far and figure out how to make money. And there's a lot of money to be made. So we're here to help you monetize all of that.
So there's a lot of drivers of change. I mean, you need to better serve the client, reduce your cost, reduce complexity, grow the company for all the investment that they have done. You need to have cross-industry competition that forces you to collaborate, create platforms, ecosystems, and so on. So many, many different forces of change. One that is maybe not mentioned, and I would throw out here in the group, where is sustainability in this story? Is that also a driver for your organizations to change?
So Hendrik, I'd like to speak on that. And it's interesting that you asked that question because one of the things that I observed about all of the companies that are represented here today is that key to their mission was some element of giving back, whether that was sustainability, improving the quality of life. You know, of course, I'm familiar with the work that BT is doing around, you know, for the good of the community, for the good of the people in the country. I've looked at what Orange is doing in MTN and Matrixx, and every one of these companies have an element in their vision and their mission and their strategy around giving back. So in addition to all of the industrial and commercial and business benefits and aspects of transformation, there is a huge impact on social quality, right? The quality of life, the quality of healthcare, the quality of education, and sustainability is at the core of all of that. And that is, you know, how do we move forward with technology in a way that improves the quality of life for all of us? And so I think it's a great question. And of course, just speaking on behalf of Red Hat and in our partnership with Intel, sustainability is one of the key priorities in terms of the goals that we set year over year, right? To improve the zero footprint of the emissions. And we're working very closely with, Pat Gelsinger, who's the new CEO at Intel as well, on ensuring sustainability in everything that we do. But I'm very interested in hearing from each of the individuals in our group as well today, because I know that it's part of their priorities associated with the work that they're doing with new technology.
Yeah. Anybody else?
I was just going to compliment one of our customers, which, Orange is a customer of ours, and we really love supporting one of the initiatives they have, which is to donate minutes to less fortunate children. And so being able to support those kinds of things with the agility that we can provide, and they're doing this through Orange Flex. I know that we don't have Koen here with us, but I'm sure he'd be familiar with that program. So we love supporting that. The .org's out there as well. So anything we can do, we're all about that. Thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah, thanks, Lou. I mean, Hendrik, I was going to say that, we believe in the principle of shared value. And that's why we have a program around ESG, and we say ESG at the core of our business. So whether it's environmental, whether it's social, or, also in terms of how we work with nation states, particularly, if you look at the number of markets in which we operate in, and then you look at, how can we make a difference in the markets in which we operate? It could be around the issue of education, for instance. We can create platforms that bring education inclusivity in the markets in which we operate. We can bring health, we can deliver data access, because I believe that if you bring data and internet access in the markets, you bring financial inclusivity in that way, and you also bring education and health inclusivity. So all of those are the principles that we're working on. But one of the key programs that I'm personally, driving is the program on emissions. We've given ourselves a target of 2040 to reduce to get to net zero position by 2040. It's a lofty target, but we believe as a business that is warranted because, like I said, we want to achieve our goals and growth for our business, but we don't want to do that at the expense of the planet in which we live. And we also believe that we have a dream of a sustainable Africa that you, as MTN, we want to lead. So we are driving a program across the enterprise, Project Zero. We are doing this with also our suppliers as well, engagements of the total ecosystem to ensure that we can be able to drive this ambitious goal for us going forward.
Okay, great.